Hello everybody, this is GeneralJannis, and today in Death Card Tactics we will be continuing the presentation of the Death Card on Crusade, and this is part 2, showing you the first battles of the Crusade. So as I mentioned in the part 1, I will be going on a crusade with some friends' armies, or enemies' armies I would say, and the crusade has started. And you can read more about the background, the house rules, and the armies are presented in the part 1 of this series of videos I will be doing. And in this video, in the part 2, I will tell you about the first battle fought between the White Scars and the Eldar armies, and then we go on to the second battle where Death Guard enters the war and the crusade and faces off with the Eldar. So how did the battles go, and did my Death Guard bring some glory to Nurgle? So let's take a look. So for the first battle, we rolled the dice, and it was decided that the White Scars would start with versus the Eldar, and myself I will just be observing. And the narrative is that the White Scars has just made planetfall on a small moon, and they're trying to find the Death Guard force they believe are in the moon, and try to locate the signal, the source of the strange signal emanating from the moon. But suddenly they are attacked by the Eldari hunting party. So we also rolled for one of the combat patrol missions. 1 out of 3 in the narrative core book, and it was decided to play the Crusade Mission 1, Sweep and Clear, on a 44 by 30 inch board, which is the minimum size. And this in this deployment, there are 4 objectives placed by the players, 2 objectives in the center ground and 1 each in each deployment zone. And there is scoring from round 2, and if you hold one objective it's 10 points, hold more than the opponent 10 points, and if you hold the opponent's zone objective you get 10 points more, for maximum 30 points per turn. And in this mission, the objectives remain in control of the player even if no units are nearby, so it's like tagging the objective with a flag. And the victor bonus for winning at the end of the battle is that additionally 1 unit from the Crusade roster can be marked for greatness, which is quite good because marking for greatness gives the units 3 experience points, and it's quite a lot. And if you can do it for 2 units instead of 1, of course you can always mark 1 unit for greatness, but the winner here can do 2. All right, so let's see the starting armies. So the White Scars presented before have a primaries chaplain on the bike, chaplain Jaikos, 5 assault intercessors, 3 aggressors, and 3 outriders. The requisition points before the battle have upgraded the chaplain with warlord trait and relic, so it's up to 2 crusade points. And the aggressors, there was a requisition point for the space marines that give them a 6 experience point from the get-go. And then they when a unit reaches 6 experience points, it gets a new rank, and then it can get a battle honor. And the battle honor was rolled, and it was deny the witch. So the aggressors in this case can deny a psyche, which is probably not so bad for the White Scars because they don't have any else on the list that can deny or be part of the psychic phase. The Eldar start with a Farseer Skyrunner, 7 Dire Avengers as troops, the Viper as attack, and the Wave Serpent as a transport unit. And they have given their Farseer relic and a Warlord trait, but all start with fresh XP 0. Before the Crusade game is started, you compare the Crusade points of the armies, and in this case the White Scars have 1 more, and then this means that you divide by 2 and round up. So in this case, because the Eldar don't have so many experienced units, they would be getting 1 more command point to start with. So in this case, the White Scars were the defender, the Eldar was the attacker, and then normally they would start with 3 command points, but the Eldar got 4 command points to start. The agendas chosen for a combat patrol, you have to choose one secret agenda, and the White Scars chose priority target, and the priority target gives 2 experience points for each vehicle that the unit destroys. And because in the Eldar army there are 2 vehicles, the Viper and the Wave Serpent, so that would be a potential to get 4 XP for the White Scars player. The Eldar chose the agenda Breakthrough, and Breakthrough is quite interesting. It gives 2 experience points for up to 3 units that end the game within 6 inches of the enemy battlefield edge. And because the Eldar is such a fast army, maybe they're hoping to be able to come on the other side of the board, and then they have a possibility to get XP for many units. A lot of the agendas are typically, a lot of them only seem to be giving 1 or 2, let's say 2 experience points to 1 unit or something like this. So this Breakthrough could be interesting. Eldar won the roll-off to start, but they gave the first turn to the White Scars, and in the strategic reserves and reinforcements phase, the White Scars player used the encirclement stratagem to put the aggressors in strategic, let's say, reinforcements, and then they can arrive on the battlefield edge from turn 2. And the Eldar, they start with their Dire Avengers inside the Wave Serpent. So let's look at the deployment. So here was the map, and you can see the 4 objectives, 2 in the center zone, 1 in the Eldar zone, and 1 in the White Scars side. And the Eldar deployed the Viper here, Wave Serpent with the Dire Avengers at the Farseer on this side, and the White Scars have the Outriders and the Chaplain on the bike that you cannot see here because it's very black and it's in the shade of the ruins. In this case, here be in cover more or less, and then here we have the Assault Intercessors controlling the first objective, but ready to advance forward from these ruins. And the aggressors can arrive from turn 2 from any within 6 inches from any battlefield edge, from 9 inches away from enemy models. So in the first turn, as I said, the Eldar allowed the White Scars to take the first turn, and in this maybe it surprised the Chaplain, and he failed. The Chaplain Jaikos failed to recite the Litany of Hate, and maybe some confusion ensued in the White Scar lines. The Assault Intercessors advanced forward, coming out of the cover and basically within 3 inches of one of the center objectives. But the Outriders with the Chaplain don't start their bikes and just wait for the enemy. And the White Scars player plays the Ride Hard stratagem on the Assault Intercessors, which makes that if a unit has advanced, the White Scars unit has advanced, they are -1 to hit with his stratagem. So he's preparing to see what the Eldar can bring in the first turn. So in the Eldar's first turn, perhaps the Eldar sends some confusion in the White Scar army, and all Eldar fly forward. The Viper comes here to control this objective. The Farseer lands threateningly above the ruins, overlooking the Assault Intercessors, and the Wave Serpent can trace line of sight on this side of the ruins to the Assault Intercessors. The Farseer is in range of the objective. If they can kill off these Assault Intercessors, they would be able to hold this objective. So in the psychic phase, the Farseer starts with the Executioner psychic power, which is really terrifying. So he succeeds with that and makes D3 mortal wounds, killing 1 intercessor. And if if a model is killed, the unit gets additional D3 mortal wounds. And in this case, it gets 2 more, killing in total 2 intercessors. Then the Wave Serpent shot everything it had with the heavy cannons and kills 2 more intercessors, leaving only the sergeant of the Assault Intercessors alone, trying to keep the objective. But then the Farseer shoots all his weapons and kills the sergeant for the first kill of the Crusade. And then using a stratagem from the Eldar, the Farseer then falls slightly back to be more protective. He can shoot and fade the attack and fade back. So in the second turn, this is really an important phase for the White Scars if they should be able to come back. So they start by getting 10 victory points for holding the objective on their deployment zone. With the intercessors gone, the chaplain now manages to recite the Litany of Hate, and the Outriders and himself advance. They can advance 20 inches and come very close to be able to charge the exposed Wave Serpent. And at the same time, the aggressors arrive on the backfield and ready to encircle the Eldar. So very White Scars encirclement point of view. And using a stratagem allows the Outriders to shoot even if they advanced, but they only score 1 wound. And then the aggressors fire around 30 shots on the Wave Serpent, and they score 2 wounds, and the Wave Serpent has still 11 wounds left. Then in one of the most important phases of this game, the chaplain, the Outriders, and the aggressors all make their charges on the Wave Serpents. So it really looks really bad for the Eldar now, and with all this melee power surrounding the Wave Serpent and the probably terrified Dire Avengers within it, the aggressors start with their attacks. Close combat, and they make 10 wounds on the Wave Serpent. So now the Wave Serpent has only 1 wound left, and the Outriders and Chaplain still have to fight, and they are quite certain of victory. But after the Chaplain making 5 attacks and the Outriders a total of 19 attacks, the Outriders get +2 attacks when they charge. They have a 4 or 3 attacks base, and then they also get +1 attack for the chainsword. So they have really huge amount of attacks. But they scored 1 single wound, and the Wave Serpent was able to save that. So the Wave Serpent, after all these attacks, stands defiant with 1 wound. So in the second turn for the Eldar get 10 victory points because they were controlling this objective at the start of the phase. The damaged Wave Serpent attempts to fall back from this encirclement and succeeds. Basically, the chaplain has the Master of Snares warlord trait, and when he can roll 4+, and then the unit that was locked in combat would not be allowed to fall back, but it fails. He fails this roll, and the Wave Serpent can fly back and take control of the objective. The Viper flies off to the other corner of the board, and the Farseer flies and takes control of the White Scars objective. The Farseer makes 2 wounds on the Outriders with the Executioner power, and follows up with the shooting and kills 1 of the Outriders. And the Wave Serpent shoots the Outriders and kills. Makes 3 wounds, and the Viper shoots its cannon lance and kills 1 of the Outriders. So 2 Outriders are killed, and the Eldar are getting in the corners of the board. Then in the third turn for the White Scars, the White Scars get 10 victory points for controlling 1 of the middle objectives. And now the White Scars have the Assault Doctrine active, and they will be looking to make an impact, because with the Assault Doctrine, the White Scars are doing 1 more damage on the charge, so for every melee weapon. So it's really can do massive damage. And the Outrider advances, so he can charge the Viper, and the Chaplain advances towards the Farseer, also making ready to make the charge and try to kill him off, and the aggressors move to be able to shoot and charge the 1 wound remaining Wave Serpent. The aggressors shoot and kill the Wave Serpent. It doesn't explode. The Avengers within have to do an emergency disembarking, and 2 models are slain. And they try to disembark as far away as possible as the very threatening aggressors here. But then the aggressors fail the charge on the Dire Avengers, and the Overwatch fire wounds 1 of the aggressors, only 1 wound. The chaplain charges the Farseer, making only 1 wound, and the Farseer fights back and deals 3 wounds. And in this case, there was some quite bad rolling from the chaplain again. And the Outrider gets 2 wounds onto the Viper, and the Viper has 3 wounds left. So in the third turn for the Eldar get 20 victory points. They are still controlling the objective on the White Scars zone and the one in the middle, so they get 20 points. The Avengers move into the ruin and take control of this objective in their own backfield. And the Farseer manages to fall back. The Chaplain still not in the top of his game. Master of Snares failing again. The Farseer uses psychic powers to deal 3 mortal wounds to the Chaplain. So the Chaplain now has only 1 wound left, and it's really very crucial for the White Scars at this moment. The Viper, locked in combat with the Outrider over here, shoots its weapon at point blank and kills the last Outrider Sergeant Janissar. And the Avengers shoot at the Avengers shoot but cannot do any more damage on the aggressors. Then the Farseer charges into the Chaplain, but neither Warlord can score any wound on the opponent in this phase, so they are left 1 wound. Maybe there is one final chance for the Chaplain to kill the Farseer in the next turn. So in the 4th turn, the White Scars start by getting 10 victory points, still controlling 1 objective in the middle. The Chaplain falls back from close combat with the Farseer, wanting to charge again and to get the benefits of charging. The aggressors move and shoot and kill the 2 Dire Avengers, and then the Chaplain charges and fails to make any wounds on the Farseer. Again, very terrible rolls for the Primaris Chaplain on the bike. And 10 Ruin, the Farseer, finally fights back and gives the wound to kill the Chaplain Jaikos. Things starting to look very troublesome for the White Scars. On the other side of the board, the aggressors charge and kill 2 more Dire Avengers. Only the Exarch leader is left, but he passes the morale test to still control the objectives. In the Eldar 4th turn, the Eldar get 30 victory points for controlling more objectives. They have the objective now clearly in the White Scar zone and one in the middle. And with a battle nearly won, the Viper and the Farseer move to the White Scars deployment edge in cover of the ruins to secure the breakthrough agenda. And basically they have so many victory points that the aggressors cannot do anything more to turn the tide. In the fight phase, the aggressors kill the last Dire Avenger, the leader, Exarch, but there is not much more they can do. So the 5th turn, in the end of the game, basically White Scars get 20 more victory points and Eldar get 20 more victory points on the final turn, but neither side can do much more. And here is the score. So the final score was the White Scars got 50 victory points and the Eldar 80 victory points. A clear Eldar victory with the Farseer and the Viper making their breakthrough agenda. So in the whole game there was a strong performance from the Eldar Farseer with very good psychic abilities and psychic damage done, and also shooting damage, and it was crucial that he could hold the objective versus the Chaplain and kill the Chaplain in close combat, which was a bit unexpected because the Chaplain has had a lot of good melee weapons, but again not very good dice rolling, not very good performance from the Chaplain today. The Viper dealt with the Outriders, and the Wave Serpent did a lot of shooting damage on a lot of units and survived very crucially when it was surrounded, and making sure that the Dire Avengers can hold the crucial objective in the middle rounds. And it was good. The Eldars had some good craft world abilities, allowing them to re-roll some hit rolls or wound rolls depending on what was needed. They can re-roll one roll in a battle round, so it was quite useful, and it was used to good effect to make some damage throughout the battle. and a very underwhelming performance from the White Scars chaplain, the Outriders, and the Assault Intercessors. That basically the Assault Intercessors just were shot off on the first turn, but obviously caught off guard by the Eldar assaulting them. The aggressors, of course, did a very good job. They killed 2 units and make most damage, but could not turn the tide of the battle this day. So after the game, there are some end game updates. So the Eldar player, because he won, he can select 2 units to be marked for greatness. So the Farseer and the Viper both were marked for greatness, and both increased their ranks and gained the battle honors. They made their agenda and marked for greatness. They got 6 experience points, and then they could with 6 experience points you go to the next rank. The Farseer chose to roll for a Psychic Fortitude, and he got a +1 to deny, so he can deny one more. He can deny one more time, but and he had a reroll, but he got the same thing again. And basically the Farseer already can deny 2 psychic spells per turn, so not very helpful for him at the moment, but it could be if there are more psychers coming on to the Crusade later on. The Viper rolled for a battle trait and got a +1 save for attacks made against it with AP0 and AP-1. So light fire from various weapons would be able, then the Viper is extra protected going forward. And they destroyed the Eldar units, the Avengers and the Wave Serpent. They have to pass an out of action roll, so on a 2+ nothing happens, and on a 1 it's not good because you lose experience points or you get battle scars, but they passed their out of action rolls. So this is the situation here. So with the new ranks, the Crusade points for the Farseer and the Viper have increased, and they have better abilities for Psychic and the trait they were doing, and here is the agendas they made and marked for greatness they got, etc. And then for the White Scars, the aggressors made killed one vehicle for the agenda, so they gained +2 experience point. And the chaplain was marked for greatness to try to get him in better mood after this loss. And all the destroyed units passed their out of action rolls with no further troubles. So in this case, the chaplain now has 4 experience point. Every unit gets 1 for fighting the battle, and then they get 3 if they are marked for greatness, and then they get in this case 2 more for the agenda. So the aggressors are up to 9 XP points. So with with the first battle between the White Scars and the Eldars completed, then it was finally the turn for the Death Guard to enter the scene, and we can say that the Plaguecaster Ilarion, the leader of the small Death Guard force, has been watching the battle between the White Scars and the Eldar, and he's a bit amused by the way they are fighting, flying back and forth with their bikes. But now it's the time for Death Guard to slowly advance and take the battlefield. So this is some narrative we wrote. If you want to read, you can pause and read it. So let's see the Death Guard battle. So for the second battle, it's the Death Guard facing off the winning team, the Eldar, and we rolled for the Crusade mission, and it was Crusade mission 2. Which was the supply drop, and also a combat patrol 500 points with a 44 by 30-inch board. And in this case, there are 3 objectives. One objective has to be placed close to the center of the battlefield, and then one player each places an objective freely. And in battle round 4, one objective is randomly taken off, and in battle round 5, one objective is randomly taken off. And you score points by holding the objectives. In battle rounds 2 and 3, each objective is giving you 10 victory points. From battle round 4, it's 15 because there are only 2 left, and then in battle round 5, it's 30 points if you control the last remaining objective. And the Victor Crusade bonus for this one is a bit underwhelming, I believe. The winner gets 2 requisition points instead of 1. But with the battle scenario ready, let's look at the starting armies. So the Death Guard enters the battle with the Plaguecaster, the 5 Plague Marines with the Blight Launchers and the 1 Flail of Corruption for 145 points, the Foul Blightspawn and the Plagueburst Crawler. And as in the part 1, you could see that I've upgraded the Plaguecaster with requisition points to give him Warlord trait Arch Contaminator and Wormspeeder Relic. And the Plagueburst Crawler has a requisition point to upgrade the entropy cannons to accelerated entropy. But Death Guard starts with no experience, and all the units are battle ready. And the Eldar army already is carrying some increases from the first battle that they won, and some more traits that the Farseer and the Viper got. So they have some new ranks. So they have 4 Crusade points, and Death Guard have 3 Crusade points, which gives the Death Guard 1 bonus command point to start. So I got 1 more command point. I chose to be the attacker in this case, and I won the roll-off, and I chose to take the first turn. I'm eager to come into the fray of the battle, and no side declared any strategic reserves or any units starting in the transports. And I chose the agenda was priority target again, like the White Scar player, because the opponent has 2 vehicles and I can get maybe 2+2 experience points if I can destroy those vehicles. And the Eldar army again chose breakthrough with the fast units, hoping to win the game and proceed with their units in my battlefield edge at the end of the game. So let's take a look at the deployment. So this was the deployment zone, and we placed 1 objective marker in the center basically, and then 1 close to the I chose to put mine in the close to my deployment zone, and the Eldar chose the, let's say, the opposite side diagonally, let's say. And the Eldar player had his Wave Serpent here in the open, and the Farseer, Viper and Dire Avengers are behind this ruin. And I placed my units, the Plagueburst Crawler, the Plague Marines, the Foul Blightspawn and the Plaguecaster, all back in this corner. So the armies facing off, starting in cover before we knew, of course, who would have the first turn. So the first turn went, as I said, to Death Guard. Eager to come to the fight, I moved all the units forward. Didn't advance, but I left the Foul Blightspawn and the Plaguecaster being furthest back, the Plagueburst Crawler being the unit furthest ahead, and the Plague Marines following behind. And I used the stratagem Cloud of Flies on the Plague Marines, so they could not be targeted unless the Eldar came closer to them than the Plagueburst Crawler. So basically the Eldar army would have basically the Plagueburst Crawler as the target to shoot in the next phase. The Plaguecaster cast Miasma of Pestilence successfully on the Plagueburst Crawler, and I also cast Blades of Putrefaction on the Plague Marines if some, not very likely, but if some close combat would happen. In the shooting phase, the Plagueburst Crawler chose to shoot the mortar on the hidden Dire Avengers, because there were 7 and I could get a blast using the blast of the mortar and get minimum 3 shots. But it failed to do any wounds on the Avengers. And then the Plagueburst Crawler fired all the cannons, the Accelerated Entropy and the Heavy Slugger on the Wave Serpent that was left in the open here. And I made 10 wounds, and the Wave Serpent was greatly degraded, and we had only 3 wounds left, and that was the end of my turn. So the Eldar opponent, realizing the danger of the oncoming Death Guard force, the fast units are flying out to try to shoot the Death Guard. The Wave Serpent, luckily for me, was quite damaged and could only move 8 inch, and chose to come here to control the center objective. If it was faster, maybe it could have come to this side and shoot my Plague Marines, for example. And Farseer flies over and is prepared to shoot at the Plague Scroller and cast psychic abilities. And the Viper is also into fire position of the Plague Scroller. In the psychic phase, the Farseer dealt 2 wounds to the Plague Scroller with Smite, the shooting of the rest of the forces with a Miasma of Pestilence and the Toughness 8 of the Plague Scroller and Disgusting Resilience, they only managed to do 1 more wound, and the Plague Scroller was down to 9 wounds, so no brackets here. And the Farseer, after the shooting, he chose to fade back and keep in cover behind the ruin, so I couldn't be targeted in the beginning without line of sight. So, continuing to the important second turn for the death card, I got 10 victory points for still controlling the objective in the ruin. The Plague Scroller veered off to allow the infantry units to come forward to the center and take it, while still keeping the shooting options available. The Plague Marines had to advance to come and actually manage to be 3 inches from the center objective. And with the objective secured of the troops, they are now in control of this objective. The Plaguecaster, because the Plague Marines are very exposed in this position, successfully puts Miasma of Pestilence on the Plague Marines, but the Blades of Putrefaction is denied, and I had hoped that I couldn't charge, of course, after they had advanced. And the Plaguecaster uses his Worm Pistol, the Worm Spitter Relic, the pistol, to shoot the Wave Serpent. So now it's corroded and he hits, so any weapons hitting can reroll for like plague weapons. The Plague Scroller fired the Entropy Cannons and destroyed the Viper with 1 shot, rolling a lucky 6 for damage. This completes, let's say that this was one of the agenda. I had to kill a vehicle, and then it already was getting 2 experience points by successfully killing 1 vehicle. The Plague Scroller shot the mortar and the other cannons together with the Blight launchers, the assault weapons of the Plague Marines on the Wave Serpent, and together they managed to bring the Wave Serpent down to 1 wound, but do not manage to take it out. So it looks like the Wave Serpent once again survives the onslaught. And so that concludes the turn. And in the second turn, the Eldar also get 10 victory points for controlling the objective in their ruin. And now, watching the Plague Marines being exposed, the Dire Avengers come out and prepare to shoot on the Plague Marines, and this is very important. And the Farseer flies into the ruin to get to be able to see the Plague Marines to shoot them and cast some psychic abilities. And the Plague Marines are in grave danger. 10 ruin, the Farseer casts Execution on the Plague Marines, and the Plaguecaster tries to deny but cannot do it successfully. So basically this is a very big threat to the Plague Marines, because he can do D3 mortal wounds, and if any Plague Marines die, they take additionally D3 mortal wounds. So we have a potential here where the whole Plague Marines could be destroyed. 2 mortal wounds were rolled for the first D3, but Nurgle smiled on the Marines, and I rolled a 5 and a 6 for Disgusting Resilience, and they passed, and no additional mortal wounds had to be taken. But despite the Miasma of Pestilence covering the Marines, the subsequent shooting of the Wave Serpent, the Farseer, and the Dire Avengers kills 3 of the Marines. And after morale phase, the battle stress becomes too much, even for the champion of the unit. And I roll a 6 for morale, and the champion, I chose the champion to flee. And thankfully, the last model with a Flail of Corruption didn't suffer combat attrition, and still was controlling the center objective. So in the third Death Guard turn, Death Guard, now I still controlling the center and my own objective, so I get 20 points, and the bravery of the Plague Marines was paying off. Now the Foul Blight Spawn wants to avenge what happened to the Plague Marines, and advances in rage and comes into distance to flame the Farseer. The last Marine hides behind the wall, takes cover, and is prepared to charge if the shooting is unsuccessful. The Plague Scroller rolls back to keep control of the back objective, and my Plaguecaster smites the enemy Farseer, and I roll a double 6, and I cause 2 wounds on the opponent. He has some nice save for mortal wounds, the opponent Farseer, and but due to the perils of the warp, the Plaguecaster suffers 2 wounds himself. But I guess this is in line with the death card, and just laughing off the wounds and and just being able to deal more wounds on the opponent. The Foul Blightspawn Anthrax, he steps up and fires the Plague Sprayer weapon, and I used the 1 command point for Foul Gash, so I could hit 6 hits with strength 7. That became 6 wounds, and the Farseer couldn't save this onslaught with his 4+ invul save. He couldn't save everything, and he's destroyed and leaves the battlefield in fumes of contagion. The Plaguebear Scroller fires the weapons into the Dire Avengers, killing 4 of them. And finally, the brave last Marine from the 137th Plague Marine Company charges the Wave Serpent, swinging wildly his flail, and takes the final wound and kills the unit. And because it's a vehicle, the Plague Marines also successfully complete the agenda and will get 2 experience points after the battle. Now it looks very grim dark for the Eldar. They score only 10 victory points, and only the Dire Avengers are left up on the building, and they look in horror as the whole death card is approaching their position. They fire at the lone Marine, who's in the ruin and has cover, but he shrugs off any incoming bullet, concluding the 3rd phase. So in the start of the 4th turn, for death card, we determine randomly that the Eldar objective, unfortunately for the Dire Avengers, is removed, and death card scores 30 victory points for controlling the 2 remaining objectives. All infantry units move forward to make a final push to kill off the last Eldar, but there is no need for shooting, as the Plaguecaster summons the power of the warp and smites the Avengers, scoring 3 mortal wounds and killing off the last Eldar resistance, leaving death card alone on the battlefield to secure the supply drop and winning the battle. So at the end of the game, it's a big death card victory. So a total of 90 points for death card and 20 for the Eldar. All death card units survived, and the Plague Scroll and the Plague Marines succeeded with their priority target, the agenda of taking vehicle units out. It was a really strong performance from the Plague Scroller that made very many wounds on the Wave Serpent and killing off the Viper vehicle. The Plague Marines survived the battle, taking very heavy casualties, but winning the center objective in a crucial point of the game. The Warlord Plaguecaster, he smites the enemy unit at the end, and his Arch Contaminator trait together with the Wormspitter relic help the other units throughout the game and make them more damage. And the Foul Blightspawn only got to shoot once, but he overwhelms the enemy Warlord at a crucial step in the battle. For Eldar, it was a tough battle. The maneuverability of the Eldar was hampered from turn 1, as the Wave Serpent was degraded, and the Farseer's potent psychic attacks are saved by some very lucky Discussing Resilience roll on the Plague Marine side, and the Eldar, when they were shooting the Plague Scroller, they couldn't make a lot of wounds on the very tough Plague Scroller early on, and from there it was tough to deal with the oncoming death card, where I admittedly had some good rolling along the way. So the end game updates. I chose to mark the Plagueburst Crawler for greatness, and together with the agenda successfully completed, it gained a rank. And for the Plagueburst Crawler, I chose to roll for a weapon enhancement for its mortar. And on this table roll, if it's a vehicle, you roll once, and I rolled 4, which was really nice because it gave me +1 to hit with the mortar going forward. So really a good update. So hitting on 3+ with the mortar is really good for the Plagueburst Crawler. Even before our new codex will come, and we will probably be getting 3+ anyway. So the Plaguecaster and the Foul Blight Spawn, they got 1 experience point each because they played the game, they played the battle. The Plague Marines get 3 because they got the 1 XP for the battle and 2 for the agenda. And the Plagueburst Crawler gets 6, so 3 for the agenda and the battle, plus the 3 for marked for greatness, and at XP 6 they get blooded rank. So all units have killed, all my units now have killed 1 enemy unit, and every time a unit kills 3, they will get 1 more experience point. So looking forward to adding the tally, and looking really forward to using the better hitting mortar going forward. For the Eldar, all their units were destroyed in the game, but they all pass their out of action roll with no further damages, so that's good for the Eldar. And I didn't get the information of who they marked for greatness yet, so all their units increase their experience point by 1, but none made any agenda. But at least they live to fight another day, and they didn't get any loss of experience of battle scars. So this concludes let's say the battle report for the Crusade. So the Crusade, some summary and some final thoughts. The Crusade has started, and the 2 first small but exciting battles have been fought, and they were quite different battles, quite different armies and quite different agendas and so on. So after observing the enemies battling it out and the Eldar getting the better of the White Scars, the Death Guard entered the fray and wins a fine first victory of the Crusade for Death Guard. And it's interesting already to get the campaigning feeling and the narrative feeling growing, and to have units already doing some history, let's say, or I will remember, of course, this, for example, my Plague Marines doing the disgusting resilience saves when things looked very gloom, and also upgrading and getting new traits of the units and seeing the narrative grow. I'm really happy for the Plagueburst Crawler Mortar upgrade going forward. And in the next battle will be the Death Guard versus the White Scars, before we increase the battle rosters to 650 points. So stay tuned in the channel to see what happens in the Crusade. What do you think? Do you have any comments on any battles or any Crusade mechanics, or any suggestions, or what do you think? What did you think about these battles? If you like this video, please press like or subscribe to the channel, where I'll be posting more Death Guard tactics videos and also following up on this Crusade. And with these words, GeneralJannis is signing out. Stay safe out there, and bye-bye.